Getting fired from my last job is the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Now, I know that sounds crazy to say. To be honest, I agree, it is crazy to say, but if I hadn't gotten fired from my job 2 years ago, no, not two, 3 years ago, back in 2022, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I wouldn't have found God again. I wouldn't be making these videos right now. I wouldn't be talking to you. Now, I don't know if you've gotten fired from a job once before or not, but when you're not close to God and you have no idea how you're going to respond, you have no peace, it can be quite jarring and it can be very emotional. Now, don't get me wrong, I did not necessarily like this job. And it wasn't the job itself that I disliked, but more so the people I worked with, my managers and, the supervisors, the higher ups. And, I didn't plan on staying at that job any, much longer than the time that I was there. But I had a moment of realization prior to getting let go that I decided to want to stay and just make some more money. But unfortunately, that's not what happened. I got laid off and fell into a deep depressive slump. And I mean to the point where I really wanted to kill myself. Now, at the time, I didn't know any better, and I suffered for sure for at least 2 months before one night I just cried out to God and I was like, why is this happening to me? Why are you doing this? Why am I suffering? And, I give up. And I remember I said these words, I give up and I surrender immediately. And I mean immediately, within seconds after I said those words, that this overwhelming peace fell over me. And it was just something I've never experienced before. And I felt cherished. I felt loved. I felt like I knew exactly what I needed to do in that moment. Now, I know, I believe it's Proverbs 3, chapter 3, verse 5 and 6, that it states, I believe it's, let me double check here. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him and he will make your paths straight. Now, at that time, I felt what I needed to do was work, but not a job. Write and tell stories. Come to find out that obviously wasn't what I was supposed to do at the time. But again, this was still early on in my journey coming back to Christ. So as time progressed, I still struggled financially. I've drained all my savings and I improved my writing skills. I also learned how to tell better stories. And with that, I came here. Now, I know that sounds weird, but it all really boils down to this. moment here. I tried getting more jobs that paid more money and failed miserably. I got a job and then immediately got fired within a week and a half of working there. And it didn't just happen once, it happened twice. Granted, the first time was about 2 months of working there, but that's besides the point. After that, I decided it's time to go back to school. So that's what I did. And in that time, I had to show humility and get a job, a part-time job, making way less money than I've ever made, and working at a Taco Bell. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but I mean, we all got to make ends meet. And it's funny too, because I just recently got fired from that job. But the only reason why I got fired from that job is because God wanted me to do this. See, this is going to sound crazy, but I made a bet that if I got fired from this job that I was working at, I would start doing this right here and spreading the word of Jesus Christ. Now, it's funny because I had this idea to do this probably 2.5 weeks prior to being fired. But I thought, well, I have other things that I'm working on, other projects, other things that I wanted to do. See, but the Lord, he has his own plan. I mean, whether we like it or not, he's going to fulfill it. So the night before I got fired, I prayed to God and I made a bet with him. I said, if I get let go, then I will fully commit to this and start doing this and put everything else to the wayside. And the next day I walked in and they told me I was no longer employed there. So now I'm here. See, now I know the Lord works in mysterious ways. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to get rich and famous immediately. This is all obviously going to take some time. And is that my end goal to do that? No. But I know the Lord's going to bless me regardless. He's been able to keep money flowing in my life even when I had no job, whether it was through other side gigs that I had that I was working on that would generate money for that month that would give me some solace and peace, or just through liquidating my assets to be able to buy food and pay my utilities. See, it really comes down to this, though. Even though I'm broke, technically, and in credit card debt, I am the happiest I've ever been. And this is where gratitude comes into play. I have practically nothing. I have zero possessions at this point. I have a TV, a bed, a dining room set, but if you were to see where I spend my evenings watching TV in the living room, it's just a computer chair and a little box that's set up as a footrest. That's it. I think it's quite beautiful. So all I'm trying to say is be grateful for what you have, because you never really know what you've got until it's gone. But also, understand that the Lord will never lead you in the wrong direction. He's always got your best interest at heart. and he will make sure that you're okay in the end. He gives you everything that you need. And that's what really counts.